All right, my favorite day of the month, Wrestling Marathon Day. Oh, goody goody. What looks good today? What looks good? What's a good way to start? That one looks new. The lost episodes of the XWF. Well, there's Hulk Hogan on the cover, featuring the Road Warriors, Roddy Piper, Kurt Hennig, Bobby Heenan, AJ Styles, Vampiro, Psychosis? This looks really promising. Hello?
Hi Brian, it's Kevin here from the Attitude Era podcast, or AE podcast. You can search us on iTunes.
Oh hey man, how's it going?
No time for small talk, Brian! I was just about to have my daily bagel, and then I felt a disturbance in the wrestling force, and I felt I needed to talk to you. You're not thinking about watching the XWF by any chance, are you?
Hey, good guess.
Please don't do it, Brian. Don't do it.
Wait, what's wrong?
We watched it not too long ago for our show, and it didn't go so well.
Put the DVD down?
And walk away, man. There's no excitement here for you in your face. Walk away, man. Just walk away.
That was weird.
Living room, bedrooms.
Hello?
Brian, this is Adam from the Attitude Era podcast. Look, dude, don't even think about watching the XWF, okay?
Well, hey, slow down. What's the big deal? And how did you even know I was about to watch it?
No time to explain. Some dickhead just stole my daily bagel and I need to go and sort it out. But look, the Nasty Boys are there, Hulk Hogan, it's in your face. You don't want any of it, Brian. Just please stay out of it.
Nice to hear from you, too. Oh, my God. Look, if you guys don't stop calling me about this...
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
You don't have to yell.
And Larson.
Oh, you guys again. What now?
Grapevine that you were going to be watching those XWF DVDs, huh?
Oh, and let me guess. You're going to tell me I shouldn't watch them, huh?
No, not at all, man. We totally think you should watch those DVDs.
Typical. Well, I'll show you guys.
I'm going to watch every single one of these... Wait, you really think I should?
Totally, man. No, those other guys you've been talking to, they're just a tired trope of online reviews where a bunch of people make walk-on cameos to overly dramatize how bad a topic is.
But not us. We're the real deal.
Yeah.
We may have had our differences in the past, but we're behind you on this one.
Oh, yeah.
Really? Well, that means a lot. Thanks for the encouragement, guys. I'll get on that.
Yeah, go for it.
Man, it's all you, Brian Zane. We'll talk to you later.
Bye. He totally fell for it.
Oh my gosh.
He's gonna watch XWF DVDs.
What
What an idiot.
Guys, I'm still on the line?
I can hear everything you're saying.
Oh no, wrong number.
Oh.
Oh, you got the wrong number, Brian Zane. It's not us. What do I do with this phone?
Drop it in the toilet.
Still on the phone.
Take it to the P corner.
Still on the phone.
Take it to the
What
P
do I
corner.
do?
In the P corner, right there.
Picture it, Orlando, 2001. Dozens of wrestlers cast aside by the World Wrestling Federation in the wake of the WCW buyout hope to recapture some of that past glory and keep their coffers full. This is the XWF Wrestling X Federation. That is a perplexing layout. The XWF, or the Excitement Wrestling Federation, was an organization that could best be described as WCW very, very light. Its mission was to provide a family-friendly alternative to Vince McMahon's monopoly, but this once promising company never had a chance to get off the ground. With wrestling still relatively hot at the time, how could this new project with established talent fail so hard? Let's dive in and find out. The XWF was the brainchild of Kevin Harrington, an entrepreneur and infomercial magnate who's been seen as a panelist on the show Shark Tank. He was looking to create a company to fill the void left behind by WCW, and ultimately Jimmy Hart, Greg the Hammer Valentine, and Brian Knobbs the Nasty Boys joined in and helped run the company. The group managed to score a sweet venue at Universal Studios in Florida, the future home of Impact Wrestling, and of course, home of the old WCW Saturday Night tapings and grudge match starring Jesse Ventura. With the money, the star power, and the location all in place, the XWF needed a product to sell. In November of 2001, just days before the World Wrestling Federation shoveled the last bit of dirt atop WCW's grave, the company filmed tons of content, producing between 5 to 10 one-hour episodes. Of those, only 3 made it to DVD, specifically this 3-disc set entitled The Lost Episodes of the XWF. Well, they weren't so much lost as they were abandoned due to a lack of interest. Ooh, look, I can win a day with Hulk Hogan. I wonder what that would be like. Yeah, I know it wasn't that funny. All I had was the premise. Anyway, these DVDs are all the proof there is of the XWF ever existing. You get a pretty good idea of who they were pushing and the scope of talent that they had. You had your legends, your castaways, your flashes in the pan, and your future stars of the business. Each episode's hosted by 2 of the former co-owners, Hart and Knobbs. If there's one thing you can take away from these green screen segments is that the XWF really could have been something.
I'll tell you, Jimmy, we had something great started here.
With the XWF, we tried to cover all the bases. You know, we had all the international superstars with us.
Everything was starting to crank up. We were getting it, all together.
It's going to be a great dream come true for us.
Jimmy, you know what, though? Everybody gave their all.
We wanted to have the past, the present, the future. We wanted to build a great foundation for all the great wrestling fans out there.
A lot of stuff was going our way.
That's the overarching theme with these DVDs, wasted potential, constantly asking what if and pining for a prosperous future that never came. It's like getting texts from a crazy ex who keeps saying you two are meant to be together, or a sports writer who spends the entire offseason writing about the one blown call that cost a team the championship. They spend so much time telling you how good this company was and how it should have done better that you don't get any time to make that decision for yourself. And judging from these first 3 episodes, the jury's still out. At the start of the first DVD, Jimmy and Brian tout the company catchphrase of "in your face," a slogan that would be repeated very often throughout the show.
With my brains, his body, and her beauty, we're gonna be in your face.
We're in your face.
Over here in the XWF, I want to fight the toughest. That's why I'm gonna get in your face. And we're here in the XWF, in your face.
Because I'm gonna be in your face, in the XWF.
Our host also took the time to explain the philosophy of their fledgling company.
Our motto was no more prima donnas. You know, we just wanted a bunch of guys that love wrestling.
Ah yes, no more politics or prima donnas. The perfect tagline for a company whose DVD has a big fat picture of Hulk Hogan on the cover. Given who's running this thing, it shouldn't be a surprise that the Hulkster played a big role in the programming. He only performed one time in the ring, a dark match with Curt Hennig with predictable results. You can also find that match on one of Hogan's compilation DVDs that WWE put out. On this show, he's all over the branding and pops in between segments to offer up little pearls of Hulka wisdom.
Stones may sink and the rocks may fall, but the greatest wrestler of all always stands tall. No more prima donnas. The XWF was the best kept secret in professional wrestling. Check out the hot XWF CEO and Dawn Marie.
I think the plan was to convince Hogan to also become an investor in the project, but that fell through for reasons I'll get into later. Knobbs later revealed in an interview that Randy Savage was also approached about helping run the company, but the Macho Man balked. It might be one of the few things the Mega Powers agreed upon at this late stage of their careers. To really spice up this DVD collection, the final disc has some terrific bonus content of Hogan answering really boring questions submitted on a wall of text.
Well, the XWF should have made it to television. The XWF should have been on TV right now. If everything would have been in place and the financial backing would have held up, they would still be up and running.
Guys, the company's dead. We bought the DVD. This is as successful as you're going to get. The folks behind the XWF went all out in generating buzz for this new project and even stole a couple of moves from Vince McMahon's playbook. Everyone knows how the WWF latched onto celebrities during the Rock and Wrestling connection. Well, get a load of who they got for the XWF. Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley of KISS.
You better get ready to rock and roll all night and party every day. You have not seen what my demons can do yet.
Alice Cooper.
XWF, in your face. Welcome to my nightmare.
It's too bad this took place in Orlando and not a certain Midwestern city. He really could have livened up the party.
I think one of the most interesting aspects of Milwaukee is the fact that it's the only major American city to have ever elected 3 socialist mayors.
And how about country music legend Willie Nelson? Witness one of the most unintentionally hilarious editing jobs in recent memory as Hacksaw Jim Duggan scores an interview with the red-headed stranger himself.
And see what Willie thinks about prima donnas.
Prima donna, is that before Madonna? Is that?
Yeah. And see what Willie thinks about America.
Well, we all believe in America, and we all believe in free enterprise, and we definitely believe in XWF.
And see what Willie thinks about a new company like the XWF starting up.
What an odd way to introduce sound bites rather than just editing them all together. Who does that?
Let's see what Big Hoss McGraw thinks about the kids on his lawn.
Goddamn kids on my lawn, I don't like it.
Let's see what he thinks about government surveillance.
Oh hell, the government's watching everybody, son. They're putting bugs in your lamps, in your shoes, in your whiskey. They ain't getting my 15%.
Let's see what he thinks about a brand new company called the XWF.
XWF? Screw them, they didn't book me.
Let's see what he thinks about the voices in his head.
Oh, the mauve. Oh, the mauve. Why'd you do it? Why'd you have to play a game of chicken with Bill Watts?
Let's see what he thinks about my new hat.
Hey, give me that goddamn hat, you greenhorn. You ain't getting my 15%.
Then things get uncomfortable as Hacksaw cuts a promo about America.
But you know, Willie, the other night I was putting my 2 little girls to bed, Celia and Rebecca, and they looked up to me and they asked me if it was safe. But then I think of the time I spent at Fort Hood in Texas, and I shook their hand. And I didn't see no fear there, Willie. Alls I saw was determination. This is not only a land of the free, but the home of the brave. Ho!
Ho!
Give me a ho, Willie. Ho!
In your face.
Look at the poor guy. He's so stoned he has no idea what's going on right now. Well, after all that pomp and circumstance of the celebrities and whatnot, it's time to finally open the show. Mean Gene is your host and ringside interviewer, David Penzer's the ring announcer, and your play-by-play man is Tony Schiavone, who he wouldn't see again until he tried to pull a Guy Fieri in TNA before falling off the map for a decade and a half or so. Seriously, I think it was these tapings that crushed his soul. He goes from wearing a tuxedo on the first episode to a plain old sweater by episode 3. He's joined by Jerry the King Lawler, fresh off his stint doing commentary for World Wrestling All-Stars in Australia. But this time, he's not alone. He's joined by his wife, the cat. Wait a minute. No, that's not her. Who the hell's that lady?
I like cats, I like puppies, and I love kittens, and this is Kitten.
Oh no. Divorce can be hard sometimes.
This is my gift to you and me.
Oh.
She's gonna be here with us. And
All right.
if we have any needs during the show, she's gonna take care of them. How about that, huh?
Ew. Lawler actually wrestled a match for the XWF during this time. It was booked like an impromptu match, even though they showed a graphic advertising the contest only minutes earlier. Lawler would go on to beat Simon Diamond and Johnny Swinger in a handicap match, then he went back to getting a massage from this mute hottie who he's definitely not with to fill the void left by his ex-wife. Okay, the stage is set. Time to get ready for some in-your-face action.
The XWF's Chief Executive Officer, Rena!
Aha, yes, there's that WWF alternative I've been looking for. Out comes Rena, the former Sable, playing the role of the XWF's CEO. And if you think her mic skills have gotten any better since leaving the WWF 2 years earlier, well, no.
Thank you, and welcome to everyone. For many years, the wrestling industry has been run by sleazy, low-down egomaniacs, and its policies dictated by has-beens and never-weres, desperately trying to cling on past their best days.
Rena then brings out her commissioner, the hot rod himself, Roddy Piper. And boy, he's something all right.
I have been to the mountaintop. I've been an underdog my whole life. Gene, I've been under some dogs. I've been under some
I know about that.
I stand in black. I'm back in black. I'm back here to put wrestling on track. In your face is what it's called.
As one of the boys, Piper promises that the XWF will be dedicated to giving wrestlers time to shine based on their merit. Again, kind of rich coming from a place that prominently features this guy. Piper is the best part of this entire DVD set, and he is absolutely mad. His character and his motivations change almost from scene to scene, so it's hard to tell just where the story is going with him. Things start out nice between he and Rena, then Piper acts dopey and horny toward her out of nowhere, then there's a power struggle, he fights on behalf of the wrestlers but still hates Greg Valentine and totally heals on Jimmy Snuka.
You is that a junior? Is that yours? You wouldn't know, would you? I love the suit. Looks like somebody shot the curtains at the Days Inn. I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts.
In those cases, I suppose Piper's just keeping things consistent with his character over the years, and that's not a bad thing. In fact, his shtick with the hammer is the most entertaining part of the whole series, but when mixed with everything else he does, it makes his performance in Alcatraz seem nuanced by comparison.
What you gonna do when I'm through with you?
Okay, we've met the on-air voices and the kayfabe authority figures, now it's finally time for the wrestling. So tell me, how is the XWF going to kick off this brand new, exciting, in-your-face alternative to the WWF?
Wow, how about Bob Bagwell and Big Vito to begin things in our very first telecast?
Naturally. A match pitting future Dressman Vito against one of the guys Piper punked out in his opening promo.
They're not somebody that laid in the sunbed, put baby oil on, and asked Mummy to call the Federation to send a limousine.
I suppose now's a good time to talk about the production value of this show, and honestly, it ain't bad. The set's cool, there's pyro, and it's shot and directed well. But I guess they just couldn't decide which logo to settle on, so they went with all of them at once. It's especially off-putting that they have two logos back-to-back where the letter arrangement's different. The crowd does sound jazzed to be there, but there is a degree of crowd sweetening on this show. Not Grandmasters of Wrestling bad or American Wrestling Federation bad, but once you hear it, you cannot unhear it.
And Buff Bagwell. I don't think he's ever looked.
I'm gonna tell you. Whoa, look at this!
Throwaway slam.
But he's a talented individual.
In our next match, we see Marty Jannetty come out looking to put a young stud over. He comes out to a lame instrumental rehash of Papa Roach.
Marty Jannetty, who's had an abundance of success in not only tag team wrestling, but in singles competition throughout his career.
Which is appropriate because in the XWF, nothing's alright. Nothing is fine. In walks Hale, or Hell as Jimmy Hart refers to him once in a promo. This is one of the many large, single-named dudes who we meet, seemingly with a long-term goal in mind of eventually putting over Hulk Hogan. This big dude pounds the crap out of Marty before putting him away with a leg drop. Subtle, this ain't. Watching these DVDs, you can tell the XWF had a clear boner for hosses and or foreign menaces. Hale, Dresden, Vapor, all of them big and scary looking, most of them with managers, most of them beating up Marty Jannetty, very old school. But there's one big man in particular who shines above all the rest in this show, one who deserves a closer look. Oh fuck, not that close! Meet Ian Harrison, a former professional bodybuilder from Leeds, England. This big slab of beef was signed by the XWF in the hopes they had a future star in the making, but great Caesar's ghost, this guy was hideous. Not only did he make a strange fashion choice to cover up his physique with a weird smock-looking thing, but God forbid you ever see him flex, as his face would contort into what I imagine death looks like. You know things are bad when Jerry Lawler has to point it out.
Plus, he's just unbelievably ugly, isn't he? Whoa!
In the latter era of the XWF's run, Ole Racerhead here worked as part of the tag team Shock and Awe. His partner was named Shock, meaning that he was going by Awe, a name that, by the way, is the lamest name for a wrestler of all time. Look everyone, here comes Awe! In the first episode, we have a battle royal to determine the company's inaugural Cruiserweight champion, which Kid Cash would win. Also featured in the match were guys like Low-Key, referred to here as Quick Kick, Christopher Daniels with hair, and a fresh-faced AJ Styles. What's weird is that we get a Cruiserweight champion crowned in the first episode, but we hear nothing about a heavyweight or tag team titles in these first 3 episodes. And speaking of weird, in this world, a shot of this guy in the crowd is treated like a big deal.
That's Josh Matthews, isn't he the runner-up of MTV's Tough Enough?
Ah yes, from MTV's Tough Enough and nobody else's. After being a runner-up on the first season of Tough Enough and before he would sign with WWE as an announcer and interviewer, Tim White's best friend spent a little bit of time in the indies, including with the XWF. Wearing his finest high spots gear, Matthews was portrayed as a plucky young rookie with a ton of heart. Just listen to our CEO put him over.
I have seen another young man who displays the same determination and desire. Josh.
Lo, the angels shall come forth and extol the virtues of a mighty warrior, Josh! We also got a rivalry between the Legion of Doom and the Nasty Boys, with the Shane twins, the future Gemini, caught in the middle. It was a silly feud, but at least it was a better fit for the twins than being Simon Dean's muscle. And doth my eyes deceive me, or is Bobby Heenan back as a manager for the first time since the early 90s in the corner of Curt Hennig?
Curt Hennig sure isn't modest. He tells everyone, I'm absolutely incredible.
You were close, narrator. Hennig is in the show's first main event against Vampiro, who seems poised to be the big babyface they're building things around. And with comments like this, I can totally see that happening.
We're going to give you 110%, no, 150, no, 350% every night.
That's impossible. No one can give more than 100%. By definition, that is the most anyone can give.
The match ends when the Brain tries to employ a dirty trick, only for eagle-eyed Piper to swoop in, steal the foreign object, then bash Hennig in the face with it. A real objective authority figure if ever there was one. Other notables in the XWF included Mark Merrow reprising his role as Johnny B. Bad, Conan, Norman Smiley, the Public Enemy, known here as the South Philly Posse, Horace Hogan, and Juventud Guerrera. In one match, Vapor, accompanied by Sonny Ono, took on Jimmy Snuka Jr., accompanied by his father, Jimmy Sr. Say what you will about the elder Snuka, it's still pretty awesome that he and the future Deuce got to share a moment in the ring together with a double Superfly splash. The final main event in the series saw Hennig and Meathouse defeat Buff Bagwell and Vampiro. I don't know what grabbed his attention so much that he couldn't tell what was going on right behind him. Maybe he was upset over a production botch?
Where's the fucking music?
And that's all the video footage made public of the XWF, or the Wrestling X Federation, or the WXF, or the WTF, or... God, who gives a shit? It was all so boring! I mean, I'm sorry, besides one, maybe 1.5 decent matches, some funny promos, and funnier looking people, there's really nothing interesting about this company or its stars. They were right, the talent was there, the production was there, but the biggest issue is there was no direction. Besides a vague power struggle between Sable and Piper, and sad, not booked Greg Valentine hanging out backstage, there appeared to be no creative direction for anyone involved outside of those blink and you miss it promos. I understand you might want to introduce your talent to the viewers before diving into storylines, and there's the fact that those workers were only signed for that first taping. But even so, it's not a sin to have some sizzle on your steak. I don't need to hear Jimmy Hart and Brian Knobbs pine for what could have been all the time. Cut one of their promos and give that time to someone else. The most absurd part of these host segments is at the end of Disc 1 when Brian Knobbs, in full talking loudly with his hands mode, stops himself dead in his tracks to give a quick eulogy to Hennig and Road Warrior Hawk, who had passed away prior to the DVD's release.
The Road Warriors again after the Nasty Boys' butts. But unfortunately, Road Warrior Hawk and Curt Hennig are no longer with us. They were friends, true friends with me and Jimmy Hart, and we will never forget them.
Extremely awkward gear shifting and memorial full screen typo aside, what made this even crazier is when they did it again at the end of the third disc, this time adding the Wall and Johnny Grunge after they appeared. Why not just put them all together at the end? Why not put an image up with no audio? Anything to spare us from hearing these two cartoon sidekicks squawking for a second. The tapings in Orlando weren't the only times the XWF ever ran. In late 2001 and early 2002, the company ran house shows in Indiana, Wisconsin, and Texas. They even got Terry Funk to battle Greg Valentine in Amarillo. They tried an invasion angle with WWC in Puerto Rico, and even got the old shows they made to air on Carlos Colon's programming, but it didn't garner them any extra attention. What ultimately befell the XWF was an inability to secure their top guys. By the time they got to shopping the footage around, nearly every major player in the show got signed. Lawler, Hogan, Hennig, Sable, and Piper were just some of those who got picked up by Vincent Mann and the WWF after those tapings. Of course, the mighty Josh would come later, but the damage had already been done. Executives turned them down upon learning all the big names were gone, and without a TV deal, the company folded. After Hart bought the rights to the brand in 2004, the XWF DVDs were released a year later, they teased a revival, nothing came of it, then the company finally died. For now. In the end, the XWF is a brief footnote in the history of modern wrestling. One of the last pieces of rubble to fall in the Monday Night War, a startup that became a time capsule for where wrestling was at the time and where it wasn't. But hey, at least Hulk Hogan got what he wanted out of it.
VH1, Hogan knows best. The greatest show on VH1.
Be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it, comment below, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, and buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.